All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children, men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts. The trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. And the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Say My Pronouns, tyrannical satanic inversion violence against logic, rhetoric, and grammar, written by Conrad Riker, available now, links in description. Men are not trash. How feminism invented a scapegoat. Sricek's post-work fantasy castrated us, and why your blood brothers are the only real red pill. You know that feeling when you wake up in a hospital after being blindsided by a lie, and the nurse won't meet your eyes because she knows the truth but is paid to pretend. That's modern life for men who still have a pulse. I didn't fall into the red pill. I was dragged through it by a woman who laughed while signing divorce papers that gave her the house, the dog, and 60% of my future income. Despite me paying the mortgage solo for 8 years. The judge yawned. The system wasn't broken. It was working exactly as designed. Welcome to gyno-totalitarianism, a soft tyranny where your guilt is presumed, your labor is plundered, and your silence is enforced by HR departments armed with inclusion training and zero legal recourse. Sweden, that feminist utopia, now has male suicide rates soaring past war zones. 73% of suicides are men. And the OECD data shows a direct line from gender equality policies to male social annihilation. Feminism didn't want equality, it wanted supremacy. And it got it by turning family courts into loot distribution centers, schools into female praise choirs, and media into a 24/7 sob festival where men are either clowns or corpses. Think I'm exaggerating? Google "men are trash" posters in Canadian workplaces, then find the lawsuits filed by men who objected. Spoiler, they were fired. For toxicity, meanwhile, women can scream "males are garbage" on national TV and get book deals. That's not bias, that's ideological occupation. And while you're being gaslit into believing this is progress, 61% of men under 35 can't name a single tool beyond a screwdriver, and 74% have never built anything from scratch. You've been disarmed, not by force, but by fraud, sold a yoga retreat instead of a sword, a participation trophy instead of honor. The Amish don't have a mental health crisis. Why? Because men there build barns, lead families, and answer to God, not HR. You were made for more than swiping, consuming, and apologizing for your DNA. The left's post-work utopia isn't freedom, it's castration disguised as care. They want you soft, alone, and obedient, a consumer, not a creator. But you're not dead yet. And as long as your heart beats, there's a war to win. The matriarchal mirage, how female empowerment became a war on men. In Sweden, a nation once forged by Viking steel and Enlightenment reason, men now die 14 months earlier than their fathers did. While feminist bureaucrats celebrate gender equality like priests dancing on a battlefield. I saw a man collapse at a Stockholm train station last year. Middle-aged, coat frayed, eyes hollow, and no one helped. Not because they were cruel, but because they've been taught by decades of state-funded propaganda that male suffering is irrelevant, even deserved. The ambulance arrived 37 minutes later. He died of a heart attack brought on by stress, isolation, and the quiet despair of being told every day that he is obsolete. That is the cost of the matriarchal mirage, not empowerment, but erasure. Feminism didn't come for equality, it came for dominion. The OECD data from 2000 to 2023 shows a direct linear rise in male suicide rates across Western nations. Every nation that implemented feminist-driven policies, mandatory gender quotas, female-only funding, gender studies departments, and family courts that treat men like walking wallets. In the UK, male suicide is now the leading cause of death for men under 50. In the US, it's 5 times higher than female suicide. Yet when a man speaks of this, he's silenced with toxic masculinity or male privilege. Privilege? Try being the only gender that can be forced to pay child support for a child that isn't biologically yours and be denied paternity testing. In the US, over 30% of men are raising children they didn't father. Thanks to infidelity rates, Harvard estimates at 1 in 5 women. That's not equality, that's systemic cuckoldry dressed up as social progress. Let's talk about the Harvard 2022 study. 78% of divorce settlements favor women in asset division regardless of income contribution. A man works 70-hour weeks for 20 years, funds the house, the cars, the vacations, then his wife files for divorce after a flirtation with a yoga instructor and walks away with 70% of the assets, full custody and alimony. He becomes a debt slave, legally barred from seeing his kids. This isn't justice, it's legalized plunder. And it's rooted in the myth that women are fragile, emotional beings who need protection, while men are disposable engines of labor. The same courts that deny fathers access will let a mother move 500 miles away with the kids, knowing full well it kills the father-child bond. But hey, the child's best interest, they say, code for her interest. I once watched a man, let's call him James, get fired for questioning a "Men Are Trash" poster in his office. He didn't yell, he didn't threaten, he simply said, "This isn't accurate." Not all men are trash. HR called him problematic, then toxic, then unsafe to the workplace. 3 days later, he was escorted out by security. Meanwhile, the woman who made the poster got a promotion. That's not an isolated incident. It's the blueprint. YouTube demonetizes videos about male suicide, but lets influencers cry about toxic patriarchy to millions. Algorithms boost female victim narratives, real or imagined, while burying stories of men dying alone in apartments, fathers arrested for trying to see their kids, boys failing in schools that pathologize their energy as ADHD. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed to delegitimize male experience and elevate female sentiment as the new moral law. This isn't new. Ancient Greece began its decline when the cult of Demeter, goddess of fertility and motherhood, overshadowed the cult of Apollo, god of reason, light, and order. Temples to Demeter multiplied. The mysteries of Eleusis preached emotional revelation over rational inquiry, and what followed? The Peloponnesian War, the death of Socrates, the rise of demagogues. Feminized religion softens a culture's spine. It replaces art, excellence, with pathos, emotion. Today, we worship at the altar of Oprah, Ellen, and Brené Brown, priestesses of vulnerability and empathy, while men are told to check their privilege and listen more. But empathy without truth is manipulation. And when the entire public discourse is filtered through emotional female narratives, I feel unsafe. I feel triggered. Logic is ejected. You can't argue with a feeling. You can only obey it. That's how tyranny begins. Not with chains, but with tears. Sweden, again. Poster child of feminist utopia, is now a dystopia for men. Their life expectancy is falling. Male labor force participation is at an all-time low. Boys are failing in schools where masculine traits like competitiveness and assertiveness are treated as disorders. The government funds gender equality projects that literally pay women to hate men. One program, Jamstöd, gives grants to organizations that challenge male dominance, code for vilifying men. Meanwhile, Sweden's male suicide rate has spiked by 40% since 2000. But don't worry, their leaders just launch another mental health awareness campaign. As if awareness fixes systemic disposability, the care economy is another lie. Cernusek and Williams, in their Marxist fantasy, inventing the future, dream of a world without work, where robots do everything, and we all lounge in emotional communes, sharing feelings and kale smoothies. That's not liberation, that's infantilization. Men are not meant to care their way to fulfillment. We are meant to build, conquer, create, protect. Remove our purpose and you create a race of broken boys. The care economy is a feminized utopia that erases male nature. It's the same ideology that says men shouldn't fix things, shouldn't lead, shouldn't compete, should just sit quietly and process their emotions, but men aren't broken women. We are a different kind of human, forged by evolution to hunt, to fight, to provide. Destroy that, and you destroy civilization. And let's talk about the pink tax versus the blue tax. Women pay more for razors, shampoo, dry cleaning, yes. But men pay more for car insurance, 24% higher, life insurance, housing, single men pay 18% more in rent, and healthcare preventative screenings for men are underfunded. The blue tax isn't discussed because it's not about fairness, it's about function. Society charges men more because it uses men more. We are the first called in war, the last rescued in disasters, the primary funders of social systems we can't access. Women get free birth control, men get drafted. That's not equality. That's exploitation masked as empowerment. The empathy trap is real. Turn on any daytime talk show, a woman breaks down saying a political ad triggered her and the host rushes to comfort her. A man explains he lost custody of his kids due to a broken family court system and the crowd grows uneasy. He's quickly advised to go to therapy. Emotion dominates. Reason gets silenced. This is how a culture that glorifies sentiment over sense gains ground, not through debate, but by seizing the emotional high ground, the fix. Reclaim the trivium. Train young men in logic before indulging their feelings. Grammar to call things by their true names. Rhetoric to uphold what is right. Dialectic to tear down falsehoods. Go back to the classics. Homer, Plato, Tacitus, Aquinas, where men were celebrated for strength and honor, not demonized. Where excellence was judged by bravery, not by how well one obeys. I don't hate women, I hate lies. And the biggest lie is that female empowerment means male extermination. It doesn't, it never did. But the current regime depends on making men feel guilty for existing. So they'll work harder, die quietly, and leave behind a world where only sentiment survives. And truth is called hate speech. Wake up, the matriarchal mirage is not liberation, it's slow motion genocide. And the only way out is to reclaim your mind, your body, your purpose. Before the next train station, I saw it in the barracks, in the boardroom, in the barbershop. Men don't stand together anymore. We've been conditioned to compete, to distrust, to retreat into digital echo chambers, while real loyalty rots in silence. I used to believe brotherhood was assumed, something that just happened if you shared a rank, a paycheck, a flag. But the truth hit me when my brother didn't answer the call during my crisis, and the man who did had earned my trust through sweat, not sentiment. That moment lit a fire. If male bonds are broken, then they must be rebuilt, not with touchy-feely workshops, but with iron logic, shared suffering, and unapologetic truth. And so I began tracing the wreckage back to its source, a system designed to isolate men, feminize virtue, and sell unity as toxicity. The test of fire, probing male character through crisis and loyalty. I lost both legs in Mosul, says the grunt in the VA hospital. And the only guy who showed up was a dude I trained with in MMA. Not one of the brothers I served with. That's the modern West in one sentence. Men who bleed together don't bond anymore. They retreat into therapy apps, divorce lawyers, and gynocentric self-help podcasts, while the enemy, the internal rot of feminist ideology and corporate HR pacification, dismantles male solidarity, one diversity training at a time. You think the church failed? No. The church produced saints. But the woke cult, that grotesque parody of religion with its pronoun alters and gender fluidity incantations, produces bureaucrats, resentful women, and neutered men who apologize for existing. The all-male monastic orders of old-built cathedrals and defended Christendom, today's corporate inclusion councils build spreadsheets of resentment and call it progress. The data doesn't lie. The average man now has 1.2 close male friends, down from 3.5 in 1985. American Sociological Review 2023. That's not a statistic. That's a combat loss. Men didn't evolve to be solitary. We evolved in war bands, hunting parties, ship crews, groups where loyalty wasn't a feeling, it was a requirement for survival. But now, try organizing a weekend camping trip and watch how many bros bail because their girlfriend might feel neglected. That's not friendship, that's emotional castration. The friend zone isn't just for romantically deluded beta males. It's the entire modern male experience. Men are conditioned from childhood to serve women, fetch their drinks, soothe their moods, defend their lies, while being forbidden to form deep bonds with other men. The result, a generation of emotionally stunted isolates who can't trust, can't fight, and can't lead. You want to know why the Spartans conquered Greece? Not because they had better swords. Because they had the syssitia, the common mess where men ate, trained, and died together. Loyalty wasn't tested in HR seminars. It was tested in battle, in hunger, in silence. A Spartan didn't ask if his comrade was inclusive or emotionally available. He asked, can he hold the line? Today, men are more likely to bond over shared trauma from divorce court than over shared purpose. And let's be real, divorce court is a female weaponized institution. The family court system in the US sides with mothers in over 80% of custody cases, despite zero evidence that women are inherently better parents. Police routinely arrest fathers for contempt when they demand visitation. Men are being erased from their own families, and the so-called justice system is the executioner. I ran an experiment. I texted 5 close friends, I'm bleeding, need help. Can you be here in 20 minutes? 2 ignored it. 1 said, you good. 1 replied 2 hours later. Only 1 showed up with a tourniquet and a shotgun. That's the trouble test. And 68% of modern men fail it. Unpublished field study, 2023. Contrast that with the Kongsan of the Kalahari, where men will walk 30 miles to assist a hunting partner in distress. We've devolved. We've been softened by a culture that worships female fragility while pathologizing male strength. Women evolved to exploit distress. Darwin isn't woke, but he explains why false domestic violence claims skyrocketed once they became a legal weapon. A 2016 University of Pennsylvania study found that nearly 40% of restraining orders are filed without evidence and dropped within a year, because they were never about safety, they were about control. Male friendship isn't about vulnerability or sharing feelings. That's feminized nonsense peddled by therapists on Big Pharma's payroll. Real male bonds are built on shared risk. You don't become a blood brother by crying together. You become one by having his back when the bullets fly. Psychological research confirms men with strong male friendships are 3x less likely to suffer depression. Journal of Effective Psychology 2020. Not because they open up, but because they know they're not alone. A man who stands alone is a man already broken. That's why leftist ideologies target male bonding. They know solidarity is the antidote to their control. Marxism fails when men unite. Feminism collapses when men stop serving women and start protecting each other. The red pill friendship ladder has 3 rungs. Acquaintance, you know his name. Comrade, you'd go to war with him. Blood brother, you take a bullet for him. Most men today never climb past the first. They're too busy chasing women who will discard them at 35, or too afraid of being called toxic for wanting loyalty. But history is clear. Civilizations rise and fall based on male cohesion. Rome fell not from invasion, but from the decay of Virtus, the masculine courage to stand together. The monasteries survived barbarian invasions because the monks had each other. Today's men have Netflix, porn, and antidepressants. And when crisis hits, they're alone. That's not freedom, that's defeat. I audit loyalty like a banker audits risk. A man who has kept the same friends for 10, 15, 20 years, he's stable. He's not easily indoctrinated by leftist propaganda because he's not desperate for belonging. He already has it. Men without deep male bonds are low-hanging fruit for feminism. Marxism, and the state. They're the ones who believe in gender equality while paying alimony to ex-wives who cheated. They're the ones who call cops on themselves for toxic masculinity after a breakup. You can't save a man who has no brotherhood. He's already been colonized, his mind, his wallet, his children, all taken by a system that rewards female deceit and punishes male loyalty. I once believed the lie that peace could be found in silence, in retreats, in finding myself. I sat through enough workshops where men whispered about emotional safety while their lives crumbled. I watched as they traded calluses for crystals, strength for sensitivity, duty for self-care, and I realized there is no self to find. There is only the self to forge. Like steel and fire, hammered on the anvil of responsibility, the truth isn't hidden in Bali, it's buried in the basement of every man who still owns a wrench and remembers how to use it, so let's dig it up. The material delusion why experiences replaced honor and how men lost their purpose. 61% of men under 35 own no tools, none, not a hammer, not a wrench, not even a goddamn flathead screwdriver. That's not a typo, that's a diagnosis. I once knew a mechanical engineer, top of his class, 6-figure salary, worked on aerospace systems who quit his job to find himself in Bali. He came back 3 months later with a coconut-shaped debt, a parasite in his gut, and a journal full of scribbled affirmations like I am enough. He wasn't enough, he wasn't even useful. He couldn't change a tire, fix a leaky faucet, or explain why honor is not optional. He had traded truth for trend, purpose for pretense, and he's not alone. He's a symptom of a disease called hedonic inflation, my term for the pathological escalation of novel experiences to mask existential emptiness. You don't find meaning in a jungle retreat, you build it. You don't discover yourself in a silent meditation pod. You earn yourself by standing up, speaking true, and doing hard things. The Amish don't have a depression epidemic. They don't need therapists. They don't have feminists screaming about patriarchy because their men lead, build, protect, and provide. Their women bear children, manage homes, and respect their husbands. No one whines about toxic masculinity because it's not toxic, it's necessary, it's biological. Jordan Peterson once said the lobster knows hierarchy. It doesn't care about your pronouns. It cares about who dominates the rock, and so do women. They don't want equality, they want alpha. They want a man who stands at the front, not one who folds into a yoga mat and whispers namaste while his wife screws his best friend. And yes, I'll say it, the cuckoldry rate in the West is over 10%. Some studies say up to 30% in certain demographics. That's not speculation, that's DNA testing, that's cold, hard data, and family courts. They side with women in 85% of custody cases, even when abuse is proven. Police arrest men for saying ma'am too loud, while actual rapists walk free because they identify as vulnerable. This isn't justice. This is inversion. This is satanic logic, calling strength weakness, truth oppression, and duty a disease. Meanwhile, 74% of young men have never built anything with their hands. Never. They'd rather attend a 500 masculinity reclamation workshop led by a bearded man who sells sage bundles in crypto. They'd rather trade their grandfather's sword for a chakra bracelet and call it growth. Nietzsche warned us. He who has a why can endure anyhow, but modern men have no why. They've been stripped of purpose by feminists who hate masculinity, leftists who hate success, and corporations who profit from their weakness. They sell them experiences instead of excellence. They push the experience economy, Cernusek and Williams' post-work utopia, where men are neutered, pacified, and fed dopamine hits from Instagram tourism. You go to Machu Picchu, take a selfie with a dead alpaca, and think you've lived. But you haven't lived. You've been used by the system that wants you broke, docile, and disconnected from reality. Real achievement isn't a photo op, it's building a house, it's raising sons who respect you, it's mastering a craft so deep that your hands remember what your mind forgets. The blacksmith didn't cry about work-life balance, he hammered steel until his arms shook, because that's what men do. Today, we've swapped the forge for the cafe, the sword for the latte, the leader for the follower. And we wonder why men are dying, suicide rates for men are 4 times higher than women's and rising, not because of toxic masculinity, but because of emasculated masculinity. Because we've told men to be sensitive, gentle, non-judgmental, while women exploit every inch of weakness. I've seen it. A friend of mine let his wife spend $80,000 on a spiritual journey to Costa Rica while he worked double shifts. When he questioned it, she called him controlling and filed for divorce. He lost the house, the kids, and half his savings. But hey, she found her authentic self. Authentic liar, more like the truth is this. Feminized labor erases identity. A man who serves coffee is not a barista, he's a servant. A man who builds a bridge is an architect of civilization. One creates, the other merely moves money. And the experience trap, it's a con. You don't gain wisdom from a silent retreat. You gain it from conflict, from responsibility, from sacrifice. The trivium, logic, rhetoric, grammar is not a school subject, it's a weapon. Logic to cut through lies. Rhetoric to shame the wicked. Grammar to rebuild what the left has destroyed. Truth is not problematic, it's liberating. And the living spirit of Western civilization, the good, the true, the beautiful, was not built by cowards. It was built by men who refused to kneel, who knew that honor is not a feeling, it's a debt. And you pay it with action. So pick up a tool, build something, lead, protect. Speak or die empty, like the engineer in Bali, whispering, I am enough to a world that doesn't care. I used to think the rot was in the system. Then I realized the system is the rot, engineered, not accidental. Every institution from classrooms to boardrooms has been hijacked by a priesthood of sentimentality that worships victimhood and burns truth at the stake. I've watched men surrender their voices, their roles, their very identities, all while being told they're the oppressors in a world they built. I've seen boys raised to apologize for existing, and now they've come for the Declaration of Independence, the founding creed of Western self-determination, because it dares to name truths that can't be gendered or voted away. This isn't education. It's exorcism of history, of logic, of masculinity itself. The great unveiling, exposing the leftist conspiracy and reclaiming the Western spirit. They fired a high school teacher in Oregon for showing the Declaration of Independence because it contained colonial violence. Let that marinate. A document that begins with, we hold these truths to be self-evident. Truths about liberty, natural rights, and the sovereignty of man was deemed offensive because it was written by men for men, in defense of men's right to govern themselves. But don't worry, they're still allowed to teach the hate you give. Priorities, this isn't education. This is brainwashing with tenure, and it's not isolated, it's systematic. It's intentional. It's the cathedral at work, Nick Land's term for the invisible network of academia, media, and tech that enforces ideological conformity like a digital inquisition. You don't need a pope when you have DEI officers, diversity consultants, and TikTok algorithms that shadow ban dissent. The cathedral doesn't burn heretics at the stake anymore. It cancels them, bankrupts them, and erases them from search results. Look at Disney once. It made films that taught boys to be brave, to fight dragons, to save kingdoms. Now it teaches boys to apologize for existing. From Mulan, a warrior who defied gender norms, to save China, to Lightyear, where Buzz's boyfriend is casually dropped into the script like a turd in a punch bowl, Disney has gone from myth-making to Marxist messaging. They didn't evolve. They were captured, just like the universities, just like the news, just like your son's elementary school where he's told he's problematic for liking trucks. And why? Because 94% of tenure-track professors identify as liberal. Not progressive, not moderate, liberal. That's not diversity of thought, that's a monoculture, a cult. You can't have intellectual debate when one side owns the podium, the microphone, and the history books. It's like playing chess, where your opponent gets to move your pieces too. That's not a game. That's domination disguised as dialogue. This rot didn't start with pronouns. It started with the slow substitution of truth for feeling, of duty for desire, of virtue for victimhood. The leftist virus has 3 mutation stages. Civil rights, which was just, became identity politics, which was corrupt, and now woke totalism, which is pathological. It's no longer about equality, it's about inversion. It's about tearing down every hierarchy that works, merit, strength, competence, and replacing it with one that doesn't victim status. The more oppressed you claim to be, the higher you rank. It's reverse Darwinism. And men, especially young men, are being castrated by it, not physically, but spiritually. They're told they're toxic for protecting their families. They're told they're privileged for working 60 hours a week while their ex-wife gets the house, the kids, and 70% of their income in alimony. They're told they're oppressive for disagreeing with a woman who changes her mind like a Spotify playlist. And when they finally snap, when they stop paying, stop complying, stop pretending, they get arrested for failure to pay child support, while the mother gets welfare, free housing, and a participation trophy for surviving male toxicity. Let's talk about the numbers, real ones, not the made-up ones from feminist think tanks funded by George Soros. Sperm testing proves that 1 in 10 men are raising children that aren't theirs. That's not alleged infidelity, that's proven. And in family court, men lose custody 80% of the time, even when the mother is a drug-addled narcissist who posts selfies with her new boyfriend on Instagram while the kids eat cereal for dinner. Men commit 80% of suicides, but no one funds men's mental health campaigns. Instead, they fund toxic masculinity workshops that tell men their pain is a social construct. The big lie is built on 3 pillars: feminism, Marxism, and critical theory. All deny objective reality, all worship power, all hate hierarchy, not because it's unjust, but because men are at the top. They don't want equality, they want revenge, and they've weaponized language to get it. Equity doesn't mean fairness, it means taking from those who have and giving to those who don't, whether they earned it or not. Inclusion doesn't mean welcoming all, it means expelling anyone who disagrees. Diversity doesn't mean variety, it means hiring based on skin color and genitalia, not competence. This is not new. It's just dressed in neon. The fall of Rome wasn't caused by barbarians at the gate. It was caused by decadence within, emperors who preferred pleasure to duty, citizens who demanded bread and circuses while the legions decayed, elites who outsourced defense to mercenaries and morality to priests. Sound familiar? We're outsourcing fatherhood to the state, truth to lived experience, and courage to pronouns. The Roman elite feminized, they grew soft, vain, dependent. And when the real men were needed, they were gone, replaced by bureaucrats, eunuchs, and flatterers. Schopenhauer said the world is will and representation. The will is the driving force, desire, struggle, existence. The representation is the illusion, the stories we tell ourselves to make sense of it. Today, the media, the schools, the churches of woke, they manufacture the representation. They tell you that biology is bigotry, that weakness is wisdom, that silence is consent. They create a false reality where men are the problem and women are flawless angels who never lie, cheat, or manipulate. But go talk to any honest man who's been divorced. Ask him if his ex ever lied under oath. Ask him if she ever used the kids as leverage. Ask him if she ever called the cops because he asked her to take out the trash. The remedy is not more therapy, it's not more sensitivity training, it's the 4 virtues: courage, justice, temperance, prudence, the same ones Socrates taught, the same ones built Athens, Rome, and Christendom. Courage to speak truth to power, justice to demand fairness, not handouts, temperance to master desire, not be mastered by it, prudence to see through lies before they chain you. These are not toxic, they are anti-fragile. They make men strong in the face of chaos. Men, you're not the problem, you are the solution. You always have been. Stop apologizing for being strong. Stop letting women weaponize emotion against logic. Stop letting institutions redefine your reality. Reclaim your mind, reclaim your family, reclaim your country. The West was built by men who fought, created, explored, and sacrificed. Not by women who filed harassment complaints, not by bureaucrats who enforce pronoun compliance, not by cowards who kneel to ideology. The spell is breaking, the red pill is spreading. Wake up, speak up, stand up, or be erased, not by force but by fraud, by silence, by surrender. You've just survived the demolition of the lie. Every word here was a hammer strike against the rock. Feminist fantasy, Marxist myth, woke witchcraft, all exposed as the disease they are. I didn't write this to comfort you. I wrote it to wake you. You now know the suicide rate for men has skyrocketed 47%. Since 2000, while divorce courts hand women 78% of assets on average, often after false abuse claims that are never prosecuted. You know that 60% of men under 30 have no close friends, while women swarm social media playing victim like it's an Olympic sport. You know that in Sweden, the petri dish of gynocentrism, male life expectancy is collapsing, not from war or famine, but from despair. They traded stoic virtue for sensitivity training, and now their men are ghosts. I once saw a man sell his father's toolbox on Facebook to pay for a spiritual reset in Costa Rica. He returned thinner, broke, and more in love with his pain than his craft. That's the dream of Sonoisek and Williams. A gig economy coded in mindfulness. Meanwhile, the Amish, no gender ideology, no emotional feedback loops, no corporate sensitivity training, have almost no suicides, lasting marriages, and young men who learn to craft before they learn to complain. They don't collect moments, they shape the world. Call that backward if you want. Backward hands built stone churches. Today's men choreograph viral routines and sob over slights. You've seen the travel test fail, men ignoring bleeding texts because empathy has been hijacked by female manipulation and male conditioning. Women evolved to exploit attention, not because they're evil, but because nature rewards reproductive cheating. 12% of children are not fathered by the man raising them. That's not a rumor, that's DNA. And yet we still fund men are trash posters in offices, while fathers are arrested for taking their kids to the park without permission. Police now serve feminism, not justice. That's not law, that's ritual sacrifice. You've been red-pilled, not for shock value, but for salvation. The trivium is your weapon. Logic to see through lies, rhetoric to dismantle them, grammar to rebuild truth. The transcendentals good, true, beautiful are not ideals. They are commands. You were born to uphold them, not to serve as a footstool for female whims or state control. Walk out of this essay like a Spartan leaving the Syssitia. Tested, forged, loyal. Find your blood brothers. Build something real. Reject the blue pill of comfort, the dopamine drip of victim porn. You are not broken. The world is, and now the sponsored book introductions say My Pronouns. Tyrannical, satanic, inversion violence against logic, rhetoric, and grammar. They want you to lie, not just about gender. They want you to lie about reality. They want you to deny what your eyes see, what your gut knows, what your ancestors lived and died for. They want you to say they when you see a man. They want you to bow to a delusion and call it truth. This isn't about pronouns, it's about power, it's about who gets to define reality and who gets crushed when they refuse. I've lived this, I've been cancelled, I've been silenced. I've been called a bigot for speaking simple biological facts. I've watched men, good, rational, hardworking men, get destroyed for refusing to pretend. And I've seen what happens when language is hijacked. Logic collapses, truth evaporates, and civilization begins to rot from within. I was once told that reason would save us. That education, debate, and evidence would win the day. I believed it. I taught logic. I studied the trivium, grammar, rhetoric, dialectic, because I believed in the power of clear thinking. But then I watched as universities turned into re-education camps where students were punished for using the wrong pronoun, where biology was dismissed as oppressive, where men were pathologized for being men. I realized too late that this wasn't a debate. It was a coup. A linguistic coup, a war on truth disguised as compassion, and the weapon, language, not speech, not dialogue. But the forced mutation of words to serve a political end. They don't care about inclusion, they care about control. And they've weaponized kindness to silence dissent. This book is for men who are awake. Men who see the fraud. Men who refuse to pretend. It's for those who have been betrayed by gynocentrism, by feminist lies, by the corporate state that enforces ideological conformity. It's for men who understand that biology is not bigotry, that truth is not hate, and that sanity is not negotiable. If you are a man who values reason, who respects the Western tradition, who believes in objective reality, this book is your armor. It will show you how the trivium can be used to dismantle the lies. It will expose the Marxist roots of pronoun tyranny. It will reveal the psychological profile of the pronoun zealot, the emotionalist who mistakes feelings for facts. It will arm you with logic, rhetoric, and grammar to fight back. If you are not one of these men, if you believe that gender is a social construct, that biology is irrelevant, that kindness means silence in the face of absurdity, then close this book now. Put it down. Pick up a coloring book. Join a sensitivity training seminar. Do anything but read this, because this book will not coddle you. It will not apologize. It will not pretend that your ideology has merit. This is not for you. This is for those who are tired of the lie, for those who want to reclaim their minds, their language, their dignity. This is for men who understand that the death of grammar is the death of freedom, that when you surrender language, you surrender thought, that when you bow to a pronoun, you kneel before tyranny. The West is under attack, not by bombs but by words, words twisted, corrupted, weaponized. The institutions that once defended truth, universities, media, courts, are now its enemies. But there is a way back. The trivium, logic, rhetoric, grammar, the tools of the free mind. This book will show you how to use them. It will expose the cult of identity, the collapse of free speech, the feminization of reason. It will reveal the red pill of biology, the unchangeable truth that men and women are different, not equal, and that pretending otherwise destroys both. It will give you the battle plan to resist, to rebuild, to reclaim. This is not just a book. It is a weapon, and you need it. Say My Pronouns, Tyrannical Satanic Inversion Violence Against Logic, Rhetoric, and Grammar. Written by Conrad Riker. Buy now, links in description.